For the past 2 years, I have lived in a big city, rent-free, and I never want to do it again. Now I'm gonna tell you what it was, but before I do that, I should give a little bit of a background of myself. My entire life, I was conditioned to live frugally, which I am unlearning because in the past year, I've realized that I sacrifice my comfort in order to save money. I don't even buy myself the things I need sometimes, which, I mean, I've gotten better now, but that's what I was doing even just a year ago. But it's because I didn't want to lose that money. Back when I was, still in high school, I started focusing deeply on minimalism. I started researching ways to access, resources that we as humans need without putting out the money. Basically, just the working smarter, not harder, which I'll let you decide if it was smarter. That's literally what I did. I knew I didn't want to go to college, and so in my 12th grade math class, I had my hood up, I had my headphones on, I was on my Chromebook researching financial stuff, living as my favorite YouTuber would call it, free human. I knew there were other ways to live than what the government and society pressures us to do, and I just poured my soul into figuring it out. But let me tell you up front that living rent-free, at least the way I did it, it's not as great as it sounds. It was tough, and it came with a lot of limitations. Most people might assume that I, had family in the city or slept on like a friend's couch. And I did get some help from my partner during the massive burnout phase that I went through. But I was on my own practically the entire time, at least when it comes to human company. I'll explain that. So I did house sitting and lived rent-free for 2 years in a big city. I knew a long time ago that I wanted to live in some sort of big city on the West Coast, like Seattle, Portland, San Francisco. I wouldn't go any more south. I'm not gonna go too deep into my lore, but let me just sum it up. My dad died. It finally dawned on me that if you wanna do something in life, you just gotta do it. I just wanna find a way to do it, and I want to do it. So I made it happen. I tapped into my mental reserve of things I learned about traveling on a budget and living minimalistically. And I used those techniques, I used those things to basically live long-term in San Francisco. But fast forward, I got a work to stay situation where I lived with a family and took care of their 2 dogs and their cat in exchange for living with them rent-free, and they fed me. Now that's not exactly house sitting, but it is how I came to research the idea of doing house sitting. They went on trips and left me with their big, nice house and their animals and a pantry full of food. I enjoyed the solitude, so I looked into doing that full time. I know there's a lot of websites where you can sign up to get paid to do house sitting, but that wasn't my goal at the time. For me, it was unfathomable that I could have an entire place to myself for free and just take care of some animals. Having a pet without the bills is pretty freaking nice. So I settled for that sort of exchange rather than getting paid, which actually granted me many more opportunities than I would have gotten otherwise, which is how it took off so quickly. But staying in a stranger's house sounds sketchy. What sketchy experiences did I encounter? Pretty much none. Although there was one time where I found something in a person's pantry that I definitely should not have found and pretended I never saw it. But aside from that, I actually never felt unsafe. But this isn't to say that there aren't any creepy things out there. I took multiple different safety precautions, video chat with every single owner before meeting them in person. I made sure that their profile had reviews from previous sitters who have stayed there and that those reviews were positive. There was definitely one time where I had to go by my gut and turn down the offer. It just didn't feel right. I don't like to really ignore that woman's instinct. So besides that, are there any other cons? Yes. The main thing was that I went through a couple major burnouts, which included a decline in my mental health. Like, I literally hit rock bottom. Now, part of that was because of delayed trauma from my dad passing away, but it was quite possibly the worst phase of depression I've ever had in my entire life. And to make it even worse, I procrastinated making friends in this big city for over a year. My family, they are literally my best friends. I mean, I do have a best friend that is long distance. I am very close with my family, and I was so used to coming home to them, cooking for them, watching a movie every single day. And I went from that to coming home to myself and a dog or a cat. I'm uncultured, so I haven't learned how to speak dog or cat yet. But I did start talking to a therapist eventually, so I'm doing fine now. Another con is that I was hauling literally everything I had around, either every week or every 2 weeks. Imagine moving your entire life that frequently. I was staying in unfamiliar places so frequently. So yeah, it's like kind of stressful. I mean, I would get anxious staying in a new, like, unfamiliar hotel room before that. So so if you're not a minimalist, this life is especially not for you. And if you're anxious, it's even more so not for you. But I've, over the years, like, minimalized all of my belongings. As of the past few months, I am actually reversing my minimalism, focused on fashion a little bit more and expressing myself through clothing, and I would like to do that. Minimalism is not gonna work a few years down the road. Another big con was the commitment of the time that you're going to be staying there, especially when it was dogs, having to be there no matter what, because you can't just be a messed up human being. So I couldn't really just spend a night wherever I wanted. I started to feel less in control of my life. I felt trapped. And that's definitely the complete opposite of the lifestyle that I was looking for. I originally was looking to travel full time. I needed a job. The last con I'll mention is that, you know, when I did start making friends, I couldn't always have them over. I had a lot of these places completely to myself, but a lot of them did allow me to have friends over, which was very generous of them, very trusting. Allowed my partner to stay overnight as well, but I always made sure to respect their preference, because this is about their safety as well as mine. You know, it's a stranger staying in their home. Why wouldn't you be worried? But back to the main point, hosting people, decorating your home to reflect who you are, and then inviting people in to see that. Definitely something I'm looking forward to with my own permanent space. Anyways, over time, the cons definitely started to outweigh the pros. I did not want to stay in strange places anymore. I was very fortunate to have my partner, and I could stay with my partner. It wasn't because I couldn't find a place to stay, but I needed the safety and consistency. I would say on average, out of an entire month, there was probably on average like 3 days where I wouldn't have a place to stay. Again, I would not recommend this for anybody. But around this time, maybe over a year in, things started to pick up in a positive way. I had at this point accumulated 6 clients who travel very frequently, and they have cats. Cats really grew on me after starting this whole entire gig. They are so low maintenance. Like, I had to maintain jobs all while doing this, and when I had to be at work at 5 a.m., I was a personal trainer, and having to walk these dogs and see their sad faces when I would be leaving them, it was draining. So I switched to only watching cats. They would be excited to see me when I came back, but I know they're fine on their own. But yeah, so I catered to these 6 clients, and these 6 clients started to fill my schedule very regularly. I have a client whose cats I've watched over 30 times now. through my connection with her, I've actually gotten the opportunity to stay with another lady for 3 months in exchange to watch her cats when she's gone. That was a nice buffer period, or whatever you call it. I definitely needed it. A lot of things in life are about connections, and that's what that situation taught me. I literally brought up so many cons. I could actually even think about more, but the cons will always outweigh the pros for me. But one pro that comes from it, the good reviews that I get when I travel, I can get a free place to stay in exchange for watching their animals. And I've tried it once, but realistically, you have to kind of depend on your ability to be spontaneous and basically revolve your entire trip around their itinerary. But it's doable, and it's a good way to save money while you're traveling. So yeah, on top of it all, would I do house sitting to live rent-free full-time again? No. Out of those 6 clients, I'm only returning to 4 of them now, who happen to pay me on top of staying there. And that's a pro that I didn't mention before because it's just a generous gesture. It's not expected through the website that I used. Will I return to my current clients after I've moved? Yes, actually. It would be hard to stop seeing them all together. It's like having, like 4 second homes. It's kind of cool. And to be honest, some of these places are pretty bougie. Some of them I would go back to, even if they didn't pay me. Anyways, I just wanted to share my experience. A lot of people definitely ask about it when I bring it up. But yeah, here I am. I stay in 4 different places. Other than that, I stay with my partner. We've gotten a bit closer, so we are okay with being in the same place for a long period of time now. I don't know how to close this video, but I kind of want this channel to be geared more towards traveling. I'm about to go to Iceland in a couple days. Actually, it'll be my first time out of the country. It's something I'm very passionate about because I never got to travel as a kid. The furthest I've been is Hawaii, and that was only 2 years ago. So I could take you guys on adventures with me. Yeah, I'll just figure it out. It's all good. That's all I have to say. Thank you for watching my first YouTube video, and I'll see you guys.